waiting for you, Aurian. In the steam chamber. Plenty. Wow. I didn't have the right window open. Plenty. Sweet Nothings. From 2013. Track is opening. Welcome back to Hybrid Theory. I'm Aurian Archive. And today has been kind of odd. I think I used the phrase, let's get restarted. Because that's exactly what we're... Whoa, what did I just do? Okay. Earlier today, I started, or at least I thought I started, going through the different bases that I've built in Fallout 4. I finished pulling all of the inventory out, so I went down from like 7 or 8 tons of equipment I'm toting around to only a few hundred pounds. And we are back in Sanctuary, the first town, the first base that players get started to build. And kind of the intent of the earlier stream was to go through and talk about the various challenges, development, and otherwise that I faced while building and the various methods I've used to get around those problems. And one of the primary issues that you will hear me talk about in regards specifically to Fallout 4 is pathing. The paths that the NPCs take to get from one location to another. The pathing is in many ways, as of this update, still fundamentally broken. And that characters are not always intelligent about how they should get from where they should be to where they're supposed to be going. And case in point, right here in front of us, we see characters that are kind of milling around at the base, in the middle of the base here, at these couches and the stores. We're getting into nighttime. They should be heading to bed. Alright. Let's have a closer look at some of the solutions that I took to try and fix this problem. One of the tricks I wound up using was I was doing the stairs clipping into the ground. This seemed to make it easier for NPCs to understand that platforms like this they could walk on. Another change is, or another update really, is that there are a number of alternate paths in and out of any specific place NPCs are supposed to be able to path to. And this apparently helps with pathing, even if there is a ledge here that the player can easily just up and walk over, the NPCs may not necessarily be able to take that edge properly. There we go, everyone's sitting in a row. I've got a lovely bunch of settlers, there they are sitting in a row, a big one, small one, some. Yeah. Anyways, to solve my inventory problem, I had to figure out how the crafting system was functioning. Now, in this case, I didn't have to start from the workbench. I've now got a hold middle click and I can bring up crafting. And yeah, I listened to the build theory from late last night and noticed that the verbal tics are kind of obvious. So I'm going to try to be working on not doing those. Apologies in advance if you hear clicks, clacks, or other sounds as I manage breathing difficulties. There I go again. Alright, what we got going on here is I made a file cabinet, put it way up top, and then put all of the non-rare items that I'm pretty sure I'm not actually using in there. I made another one for all of the weapons I was carrying. And I made new filing cabinets inside this cabin to contain the items I had starred or have stars. I think stars are awarded due to a special modification, a rare drop. And I think at some point I had like some crops growing in the middle here, and it just wasn't working. Like they weren't blooming or they weren't coming back around. And I moved the crops over here where for some reason they are now growing like crops should. Real quick on this base, there are turrets placed all the way around, and I generally was doing a setup of a missile, a laser, a missile, and thus enabling me to rapidly deal out massive amounts of AoE damage to anything that could plausibly come within range of the turrets. Some of these turret locations were modified based on understanding of how the game actually worked as I continued playing it uh, several years ago. When I first started playing, I was under the impression that enemies could attack from anywhere at any time. At any point, an enemy could come crashing over and take aim. And in practice, that didn't really happen. Thus, I have rearranged a lot of the items in here. I think to power this robot workbench. Uh, yeah, it is classified as a robot workbench. To power everything and get everything working. So the other thing that was really important to the colonies, or at least explained, is that colonies, because of the supply lines, we'll go to the map and we'll go to supply lines. If you had a supply line to something else, then power, water, or other items could be transferred from supply line to supply line, and you could power feed water a facility that, or a colony, or whatever you want to call it, that didn't have much in the way of resources. And here we go, prime example of uh, the pathing just stalls. They're trying to head for bed and they just stop. And this is a fully patched on Steam version. No real explanation for why they're stopping. I do have a hint. I think they're getting caught up on this single step ladder in to the bunk beds. And we have our another step ladder down. Okay, so that was the first base that I worked on. And you can see, I think, some of the very first uh, power generators that actually made. And I put them all the way up into the air on the theory that if they were high placed, then enemies would have to run a gauntlet of other defenses to try and get to my generators. Only enemies never really behaved like that, so kind of pointless. Alright, let's move on and look at our next settlement, which is just over the hill. So we can sprint over to it. And Provisioner, there's her little pack horse. Okay, and here is our gas station facility. Alright, are you guys out of power? Give me a second while I troubleshoot this real quickly and try to figure out why those aren't working. I need to go up, up, over, and here we go, and jump. Okay, alright, well, that one's working over there, and that power line. Alright, was there a button press? Alright. Hold down, middle click. Alright. Okay, we are down on power for some reason. Let's go check out our generators and see if we can figure out what's going on here. Do I need to place another generator? Or did one of them get turned off for some reason? Okay. Alright, one of them just got turned off. Okay, now let's... Okay, now our power's up to scratch and our turrets are once again active. Okay. But this was the second base, and I think this was actually the second one I started working on, so there I go, sewing things together. This base was a kind of continuation of that base over there, which we can still see from here. And that long bed's up high, one contiguous building. And originally I had like stairs coming up onto the building and then going up and connecting to the areas up here. I eventually took that down because the NPCs were, well, effectively broken on this map. And I think this was the first one where I really started focusing on giving 2 alternate paths. Now we see that we do have some beds open. Not all beds are taken up. And again, I do the clipping into the ground to make sure that the NPCs understand that they can go up here. And so far, it seems to be working alright. There's a guy on the mortar. And the infamous workshop with the infamous door. Okay, let's move on to the next one. We'll go back to supply lines and Abernathy Farm. Abernathy Farm's actually about as far away as this was from there, so sewing things together, let's just walk for it. Southeast, right to Abernathy Farm. Okay, there we go. We can see our longhouse up top. I'm not really sure when I was doing Abernathy Farm in relation to the other settlements. We can see here, though, that there is a more greater emphasis on aggressive pathing up and down. That's a factory over there. We have our turrets pointing out. I really did like putting the turrets up on the stand so that they had a wider field of fire. And again, this was predicated on the idea that attacks could come from any side at any time. Alright. We have kind of an open center. A bar, put the bar in the middle, seats around the bar so everyone could relax and have a drink. All the beds under cover. We have a cooking stove. And this way we had rooftop seating. Kind of enjoy the sights. And there's a path down internally as well as the paths out this way. A path going down this way. And here's where I think we really have my first case of dual lanes up and down. A full dual laned path on one side. NPCs seem to have a easier time with dual laned paths than they do with single lane paths. Okay, I think in the next one I'll be coming to, we'll deal with something else. Alright, some more turrets. Power down to more turrets. And over here is where I put the shops. And seating behind the shops and lights over the seating. And again, double paths in and out, and NPCs seem to be handling that. Oh, I've got OBS Studio disconnected, reconnecting. Reconnection successful. Okay. On that note, T-Mobile apparently is trialing the 5G modems for the home ISP. I have not yet seen an invitation to get on that little bandwagon, but I am eagerly awaiting the upgrade to 5G on the T-Mobile home ISP network, in the hopes that that will improve the relative performance of the streaming in and out. I mean, downstream streaming on the T-Mobile 4G home ISP is okay. Whoa. Oh, radiation storm. Nice to know. Oh, wait, I have pretty high resistance to radiation. I shouldn't be worried. Okay. Our doctor's office. Probably the first time I did make a proper clinic with a television and a waiting area. I think I had a little bit too much fun with that. And again, we see our double pathways continuing. And something's getting into a fight out there. I hear automatic weapons fire. Oh, well, that... Oh, that was the turret kicking in. Okay, that... While that happened and while I'm thinking about it, one of the big problems with Fallout 4, and one of the reasons why I really stopped playing, and I realized that was probably not, as the audio is not hooked in to the streaming, I realized that was not incredibly loud for you, but for me it was rockets and lasers going off all around my head. Actually, that was kind of impressive surround sound on a stereo set head. Way to go there, SteelSeries. For reference, I am using a SteelSeries Cyberpunk Arctis 1, I think, headset. Yeah, I'm a sucker for Cyberpunk. And I probably need to see how that game runs on Proton. It's not like it can run any worse than it does on Windows. Alright. And our items over here. Everything going up there. And this is another good example of steps down into the ground to make it easier for NPCs to realize that they could walk up this. We have our beds around here, our mortar up here, and this is again going back to when I didn't realize how the attack system did not work and thought that enemies would be targeting vital components of a base, or give me a settlement in order to make the settlement go down quicker. But that's not really encoded into the game. Alright, we'll kind of go on a northward path, and we'll go up to Starlight Drive-In. Yeah, let's fast travel to Starlight Drive-In. Ugly robot. And here we go, help defend Covenant. Alright, right now I want data, miscellaneous, R, show a map. Alright, let's go ahead and see, jump to Covenant. And this is going to be very loud for me, because as soon as I bounce into Covenant, and I am running on a magnetic hard drive here, and I know you can't hear it, but you can definitely see it. Alright, since we're here, this is Covenant. One of the more annoying settlements to build for. And as you can see, I pretty much went vertical for the whole space, trying to fit in as much uh, crop growing as I could. There's our mortar. There's our bar. There's a cow up top. And our bunks along here. Our turrets on the outside, more bunks. Our shops are down below. Yeah, weird things like that happen. Livestock everywhere. Sheer chaos. In here, well, I hear my generators. Generators place beside and inside the buildings. Yeah, I actually think at one point I had a generator inside one of these buildings. Okay, and I also was putting shops inside of buildings. I think this was the second clinic that I made. Its own unique dedicated building. And a couple of shops. What do we have in here? We had clothing and we had general trader. Nice suits, fellas. There's our workbench. Over in this one was our weapons dealer. So that's Covenant. Let's go ahead and scooch on back to Starlight Drive-In. And as you may notice, since I'm not sure how much of the previous live stream actually went live, the group happiness is appearing to go up just as soon as I step into a map and everything resets and reloads. Indicate there are some serious problems with how the settlements are constructed. Alright, so Starlight Drive-In. I tried to do several things with this map at first. At one point, this building here did exit out onto the wing here. And the intent was NPCs could just, like I just did, walk up this wing, be able to get around. And I had a stair coming up as well, and they could just enter into here. It just never worked. NPCs would lock up. Again, a pathing issue. And again, very early on, you can see that I was putting all of my generators in one of the few places, I think, where I had a medium generator for cost reasons and just never replaced it once I had more resources. And over here we got our turrets pointing out, our turrets pointing out. Over here we got our crop growers, kind of a dead area in the middle. I mean, we got turrets, we got turrets. And the idea was, again, thinking that anyone who was assaulting this would probably either be coming down that hillside or coming up over this hillside. And logic being, if you were an offensive unit, you could set up, use this old train for cover, and attack the base from here. Thus, I put the generators kind of out of range, kind of behind water purifiers, which, okay, could lose them, and, you know, people might be a little thirsty for a while, but the defenses would still be operational. However, NPCs don't think tactically. There is no hierarchy of items to attack when assaulting a base. Again, we have our dual paths in and out, and not exactly optimal. However, if I hang around here at night, NPCs do seem to understand that they can come up this one and go up this one and come up that one and come up this one without having too much interference. It doesn't always work gorgeously. I really, at some point, you know, if I was more interested in coming back to and playing Fallout 4 to be playing Fallout 4, you know, I might adjust those. But keeping in mind for Fallout 5, wherever it's placed, if I'm building a settlement again, I would probably go ahead and just start with dual pathways to begin with, on the presumption that the NPC pathing hadn't had a single thing touched with it. Now, I know that's probably not going to happen, but I might as well just go ahead and be paranoid. At some point, I did have stairs coming up to here, intending for a guard station to be able to take post up along here to look out. NPC pathing never worked properly, and so I took it down, simplified it a bit, and just kind of moved on. So that's our Starlight Drive-In. Clicking again. Click, 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 click. Okay. We'll go up north next, and we'll do Ten Pines Bluff. And I've moved OBS off to the side so I can actually more actively watch what the streaming is doing. So hopefully I will not be lost. Okay, verifying. Yep. We are still good there. We are still good there. As I make sure that everything is still streaming. Alright. Bottle cap away. Back in. And here we are. Oh, this one is a flippin' pain in the butt. And the reason why is that there is an incredibly short amount of space to work with, and some of the space that you'd think you would be able to work with, you can't actually put anything on. My solution was, as normal, just to go up and over. Over here we have our workbencher guys going at it. That one's kind of empty right now, a scavenging station. And see, our size is almost maxed. I've almost got everything in here that I can get in here. And again, we have our dual pathways in and up. Right next out of there. We have our stores up top going along. And we have our mortar on this end. I really do feel sorry for whoever's sleeping under here, because that mortar's probably kind of loud. And again, this was one of those bases that was settlements that was predicated on. One second. All right. I was making sure I could see the OBS window. And okay, anyways, as I just showed, the space you have to develop in is really small. There's not really a lot of place to put things, so I tried to maximize the amount of space I had. And the placement of and again we have a medium generator, which when I placed I couldn't afford any other generators. We got the generators kind of placed so that they're overlooking a hill, and nothing's really going to attack from down there. In order to get to the big generators, anything would have to come through the rest of the base that way or from that way. And those turrets there would take care of anything coming up this way. Yep, there's the turret up there. Very clear field of fire. Let's move on. Actually, since our next one is to the northeast, we'll go ahead and just walk it. It's not that far away. Alright, I'm also going to swap weapons real quickly to one shot, one dead. House in the middle of nowhere. There's our radio tower. And there's our base, our little settlement. Another one where I had very, very small area to work with to build things on. And we'll just shortcut into workshop that way. And you can see really small, awkward footprint. This was my solution to it, was to build up, up, up. I think it was like the first 1, 2, 3, 4 layers? And all our beds again, big, long, wide, bunkhouse for the beds, multiple pathways in and out. And so far, everything seems to be working with this base. But I do remember this base because there's enemies that spawn down there. And I remember sitting up on top of that platform or whatever's there originally to snipe them one at a time up the hill. Now, I cleaned this out in the earlier stream that I don't know whether or not it showed. Oh, that light. Oh. Yes, Mr. Light. I'm not sure if it's saying step back, or goodbye, goodbye. Okay, that was that base. Let's supply lines, and we did Starlight Drive-In. We haven't done Grey Garden yet, so we'll head for Grey Garden. Alright, in on Grey Garden, went back into the radiation storm. Alright, one of the questions that occasionally gets asked or thought about is how can the structures be freestanding? Well, you got floating robots here. You got one contiguous building. You can easily find some kind of anti-grav or superconductive something to justify the... Oh, I'm actually kind of disappointed that the storm is here. Because on the first stream, this was a brilliant blue sky, not a radioactive wasteland. This is another base where very early base building, all of the generators protected. I have a power armor sitting around here, apparently for some reason. And lots of turrets spread around. And we go back this way. And this is pathing that again, if I was playing Fallout 4 more often, I would fix this to be double wide to give the NPCs an easier pathing up and down it. I'm not really sure the NPCs can actually use it in a single path state. But I want to come back here when it's nice, bright, and sunshiny. Let's move down to Oberland Station, just across the river. Alright, and we got a nice, brilliant night sky. If we look back across, I think that's the river I'm looking for. I want to look that way. Let's head up. Again, dual pathing, two ways in or out. Dual pathing, well, single path, but the NPCs here seem to not be having an immediate problem with it. All of the generators protected on one side, and kind of open on the other. I'm not sure why I left them open like that. I think because I wasn't really concerned about anything firing out of that morass. Alright. Pretty sure I can't actually get on top of this now. Should have left myself a way to get on top of it. I know I could just build a set of stairs. I guess I'll just have to settle for looking out a window. Or maybe looking out this way. Is what I want that way? And there's the road across. There's the bridge. Can I just not see it from here? Oh, I'm facing the wrong way. I need to just place a marker so I can find it. There's my marker. That way. Huh. Not sure if that's part of it that way or not. I thought I could see Grey Garden from here. Let's hop on down to the road and kind of walk back. See what we see. Or more precisely, when we see it. Okay, we're walking north. There's the train tracks. There's the river. There's the way over. Grey Garden should be straight ahead. Ah, level of distance did kick in. Now we can see it from here. The Hotel in the Night. Now, since the radiation storm is over, we're just going to go ahead and quickly jog over. Up. Up, up, up. Up, up. Well, hey, NPCs did get down here. I hear grunting of a cow. Is there a cow on the platform? Oh, yeah. And one of the where I just absolutely fell in love with Fallout 4. Because you could do this. Create yourself a sweeping vista of the countryside. I don't get what you say. This is just an awesome view. Admittedly, it looks even more awesome in 21 by 9 with a much wider field of view. But yeah, Bethesda, some of the things that you could just accidentally create in this game are just amazing. Alright. Let's move on our little tour of bases that I did inside. All the way down to Hangman's Alley. Now, for the most part, Hangman's Alley is where I really started to put together some of the limitations that NPCs displayed in relation to pathing, targeting hierarchy, or rather the lack thereof. Oh, I hear weapon fire. What's going on? Data? It sounds like it's coming from this direction. Okay, now it's definitely occurring on top of me. Okay, yeah, see the... Okay, I need to get back that way to find them. Can I... No, I can't get up that way. Can I shortcut through here? No, it just takes me up. Not really where I wanted to go. F. Come back. Come up. Okay, here we go. Heading back towards the firefight. What was that? Fusion cell. Yeah, I can use fusion cells. Okay. Alright, I know you're around here somewhere. Alright, he's down. And he's out. Okay. Let's head back to the base. Maybe. I can remember how to get to it. Okay, here we go. Walk in this door, turret, turret in your face. Again, very, very limited amount of ground space to work with. Thus, everything went ahead. I just started building up, and this is where I really started, I think, working on dual pathways, giving the NPCs multiple ways to get to one location, and they seem to handle having 3 or 4 options to get to a point than having just one. And we got our shops up top, we got shops that are cutting in, clipping through the bottom below. And when I remember first editing the settlement and making it, I had the generators hidden inside. The one right there hidden, the one right there hidden. And as I put in things that needed more power, by that point I'd realized that raiders weren't targeting items based on the vitality of the base. Raiders were targeting items based on the other unknown factors. Basically, what would happen is, if a raiding party came in this way, they would take up positions and fire on the NPCs inside here. And then they might try to rush inside, but that's pretty much as far as they got, because at that point I had the weapons or whatever to take them on internally. And as I set up defenses to target various entrances and exits, I realized that the NPCs weren't targeting the defenses either. I'm not sure what the targeting hierarchy is, just that whatever it was, it really wasn't working to prevent the functioning behavior of a base. There was no, as far as I could tell, any kind of hierarchy to take out generators first, so I could put this generator in plain view of an attacker coming up the street, and they would never shoot for it. Be it, I don't know if it's a problem with verticality, a problem with off angles. Don't really know. I hear something going off. Again, sounding like it's coming from this direction. Sounds like Diamond City Security is engaging with something again. Yes, they are. Sorry, Mr. Raider. Not really. Okay. Let's continue our trek back up north. We did Covenant. Let's go look at Tappington Boathouse. And if I start yawning, it's been a long morning. It's like I may go grab a monster in a minute. Okay, Tappington Boathouse. You can see Covenant from here, one way or another. I think it's west? Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's west. Within eyesight of each other. We have, and this is one where I really did start to build out into the water. All of the water purification plants right there. Build out over the water. We got our scavengers working inside. Nice suits, everybody. Looking good. The generators inside the house. Again, I'm kind of yelling, even though I don't need to, because although you can't hear the generators, I most certainly can. And they are loud. And again, good spatial placement, Steel Series. Good work on Proton Valve. That actually was pretty accurately placed. Alright, our cooking stove down here. Again, our long bunkhouse of beds. This time I did things a little differently, bringing our mortar guy all the way down to the end to look out. And this way. And it's like, I know that that the relative cover doesn't mean anything, But still, they are kind of, my settlers. And you're going to try to at least give them some shade, some better working conditions. They might be stuck in an apocalyptic wasteland, but it doesn't have to be extreme torture now, does it? Hey, I'm filthy rich. I can do what I want. I'm going to make sure that these guys get lots of food, lots of water, and that nothing can touch the settlement. This is the one. This is the one that just ticked me off the most. Because it was constantly under radar attacks, and so it was the first one where I had these triple heavy lasers, heavy rockets sitting out there, and I'd warp in, and it would just be a thunderous, ground-shaking, apocalyptic explosion as all of the turrets suddenly came to life. And that was one of my biggest gripes. Not just and you can, this was at one point a lot more complex. I had a lot more items up here, a whole something that way, and then I simplified it, brought it down, and just focused on an easier to access pathing in and out for these over here. And if we go ahead and hold down, bring it up, you can see I'm already at maximum size, pretty much capping everything that I can put in here. We are doing really good on water and really good on food and really good on people power, really good on defense. Okay. But anyways, another roleplay concept here is that all the stores are set along the road, so that travelers or other settlements could just walk their pack beast up and have access to all the stores, and that if people really needed to run for cover, they did have the ability to run into this house, or get into the boathouse and take some additional cover. And the real advantage of wearing a wetsuit. Not sure what's flashing, if it's supposed to be an oxygen indication or something. I'm not sure why I just picked up EXP. Unless it was just for swimming. But that was the boathouse, and let's move on. Okay, so we've done Outpost 10 Pines. Let's head for Greentop Nursery next. Fast travel to the selected location. Alright, appearing inside, and again, this was probably, I don't know if it was early now. Oh, I'd had a fusion, at some point I had fusion generators, so I think I was just taking down all of the old generators and putting in fusion generators. Okay, so this would have been a more recent build because of the fusion generator. Well, recent as in still several years ago. It's like I know why I set the turrets like that rather than pointing outwards, because I had other turrets already pointing outwards, and those turrets already swung around an outward way. But what I didn't really have was those two could cover everything that way. What I really didn't have was a way to cover anything that managed to sneak under here and got to, or snuck under here and got here. At least that turret is supposed to clear down those pathways. So anything running under here and then going this way, turret. Anything coming that way and running out this way, turrets, 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 turrets. Turret. Turrets. And I think this was one of the few where I did a turret looking in, and then just never got around to changing it. And I have no idea where these guys are coming from. Whoa! Disarm. Take back. That's what that button does. Uh, and this is, I think, one of the few places where I did put beds inside a house instead of doing every bed on a lifted platform. There's my mortar. There's my bar where everyone can hang out. And there's all my shops in a row. Whoa, a settler appearing out of nowhere. Apparently that was the game solution to certain problems, is just make the settlers appear from nowhere. And the one bunkhouse I did on the other end, double in and out, turrets protecting right on top of them. Probably gets really loud in there. Alright, let's, while I'm thinking about it, remove marker. No, how do I remove a marker? Oh, I just have to... Well, that's annoying, and I forget how to change that. Oh well. Alright, I'm at Greentop Nursery, and we'll head across to the slog, which is... We'll just put a marker and walk. Here, sluggy, sluggy, sluggy. Apparently I still had a settlement recruitment beacon open at some point for some of these. I think at some point I was turning settlement recruitment beacons off. Alright, closing in. And here we are at the slog. And this is one of the ones where obviously I stopped caring about the protecting the generators. I had never replaced these for fusion generators. I mean, I'd even forgotten that fusion generators were unlocked and I had them, so what's that say? And I liked the idea of this location. I'm assuming at some point this was like supposed to be maybe a boathouse, maybe a little too high for a boathouse. Was this a roller coaster? I'm not sure what was supposed to be happening here. I mean, this looked like diving boards or diving, but the bridge over there is just okay. Maybe it was high enough. Maybe the lake was all the way up to the level, say, with that wall. But these, I think, are above the level of that. Okay, this is just one that it doesn't really make sense why it's designed like this. If these were supposed to be diving boards, they're really close to the drop-off. And there's a massive channel over there. And also, this thing is below the level of that. There's like no signage, there's no explanation of what this is supposed to be, why it's here, why everything is like that. There's no evidence of maybe like a ride or something. Just... They look like a swimming pool diving board. But into what? This is lower. Okay, maybe if this hill wasn't here and it was just a straight drop it, well, that doesn't make sense, because where this would be, it would have to, there'd have to been nothing here, just a straight gulp down, and you wouldn't have all these trees here. So if anyone from Microsoft who can talk to someone in Bethesda wants to ask, what was the intent of this? And even then, diving board doesn't really make any sense either, because they're not staggered. They're all on top of each other. I mean, the only other thing I can come up with is shooting range. I mean, maybe. But again, that doesn't really make a lot of sense, because, well, if that over there was built long after this, but if that's the place I think it is, it's was built long before this structure would have been built. What was this for? What was the intent? I mean, there had to have been some kind of reason to put this here. Alright, focusing back on the base, and the other reason why I'd first thought is those were diving boards, is there is a swimming pool over here. And one of the few places I think I could get natural tar berries. And again, we have our multi-entry up, our bar up top for everyone to have a drink at night, all of the beds safely away from the noise of the generators, our cooking station, Arling glass, our turrets, alright, and then this was also one of the few places where I went in and our general store is inside, and I do have beds actually inside an on-site building, largely because this building does not look entirely condemned. And I did give it a new roof of sorts, so okay, maybe it's safe, maybe it's okay. All right, swap in, and I think those are going to one of the expansions out there. Alright, so we're going to walk up to Coastal Cottage. I'm kind of enjoying just walking and seeing the scenery again. Partially because this was one of the most memorable fights because of how I was playing the game. I needed something. I think it was duct tape and wood to make something. And because I couldn't find any duct tape or wood, I just struck off across the countryside. Oh, it's a legendary... You really don't like my weapon, do you? It's just chewing you apart! Yeah, legendary mythic do claw my butt. Legendary mythic do claw me, Aurian. Hi, nice to meet you. How would you like to be destroyed today? And that wasn't even my most powerful weapon. That's the scary part. Alright, anyway, so I was just scouring the countryside, just looking for the parts that I needed, and I had gotten overloaded. Now, up to that point, as I was, okay, and I just went overboard, overload, so time to go scrap some stuff. I was just looking for... How close am I to the cottage? Okay, why didn't I just pay attention to the map and the marker? Alright, we're really close. Settlement recruitment beacon lost. And we're about to run out of AP and start after walking very, very slowly. Anyway, so I got to Coastal Cottage. And around here I think is one of the places where I could pick up lots and lots of aluminum. And that occasionally I just come back and restock on aluminum. But anyways, like in this case, I was overloaded. I had turret, store all junk. That took me down below the level. Now I just need to find a workshop to salvage stuff. And I think I put them over this way, maybe? Alright, there's one. There's our armor workshop, E-craft transfer. Martyr's leather left leg. Okay, I don't actually have a whole lot in the way of armor exit. Let's find myself my weapon workstation. My mortar, the plants, the turrets protecting the plants. And now I gotta remember where I put the weapon crafting station, because I had to have made one. Alright. Generator is up top. Protected. Again, from onslaught. I put the stores right below the generators. So shopping at the armor and whatever that store was, the general store, is actually kind of noisy. I really should just replace those with a fusion generator. Alright, let's look and see how much a fusion generator costs anyways. Power generators, power generators. Fusion, I can build 7, produce, oh, I could take all of those down. And we can do a power generator, fusion generator. Tab cancel, and now I gotta, okay, power. Space, attach wire. And there we go. Power 100. Now a lot less noisy. And I think we have a radiation storm coming in. That was easy. Alright, I still haven't found my weapon crafting station. Did I put it down someplace? It's sort of like, how could I, or was a weapon crafting station even here? Yeah, just get out of the rad storm. Alright, power generators, structures, crafting, armor, chemistry, cooking, power armor, weapons workbench. Yeah, I'd say I have enough to make one. Alright, assault rifle scrap. And what does my inventory look like now? 378. Oh, I picked up all that power armor. Okay. So that was this base. Anyways, as I was moving along up through here, and I think passing along this point here, I was overloaded. I couldn't fast travel. I was basically walking at the slowest pace possible, and then one of the big queen monsters, like the overgrown shell bugs, just came storming out, chasing two mutants who were firing lasers at it. One of the most epic moments, as I'm pretty much helpless. I can't run. I don't have the weapons to penetrate his hide, and I'm just kind of in the shadows, crouched, going, "Please don't see me! Please don't see me!" I lived, amazingly. Kingsport Lighthouse. Let's head there next, and we will fly into the walk. Yeah, I know you couldn't see that. I mean, I know you couldn't hear that, but you could see that, and that's, yeah, pretty much what it's like for anything that tries to approach one of my bases. It's not getting close. I'm not even sure what went flying. I think maybe a raider. Nice suits, fellas. Well, something's still out there. Oh, legendary enemy has mutated. No Scorpion can withstand that amount of firepower. As I said, is the enemies had no hierarchy of how to attack or approach. Okay, everyone, you can stand down. Why do I even have a siren? Alright, this way. And I'd kind of like, I put a bar down here, I think. This is one of my bars. Come sit down, grab a drink before you hit the sack. But as you can see, it's not a double wide pathway, it's only a single wide. Admittedly, there are a number of ways up and down. There's this sparkly bit, which is still sparking in the middle of nowhere for no reason that I can tell. I mean, there's no wire going to it, it's still just sparking. And there we have all of our generators and our... Again, I could just replace all of those generators with like a single fusion generator and have more power. Yeah, like power 50. I could just get power 100 with one fusion generator. And then this way, more of the shops and the stores, more places for people to just cool their heels and enjoy the seaside. As we go inside, I think now it's a caravan guard. Not a whole lot of things inside. A trader who is dead and stripped of everything, and I'm not sure why his body's still here. Maybe it was a story body? Alright. And at some point I did have some things up here that I eventually just removed. Alright, our turret control. Alright. And I really kind of did like the effect of all the lights hanging underneath. Excuse me. See? Alright, we've done coastal, we've done slog. Let's hit group mana. Excuse me. Alright. Group mana. One that I went back and modified multiple times. Last pass doing the dual stairs into the bed area to try and fix the pathing issues. At one point I did have like stairs connecting various parts of the house, and I can hear them. I think if I go upstairs I can see them. Yep, there they are. I put my generators up top. There's our mortar guy just hanging out the back. Still inside the house, kind of, so he's got protection from the elements. And I think this was one that there's a map at the bottom. Yeah, group manor basement. A hammer and a feral ghoul. And then the bar sitting out atop the ocean. Nice way to just relax and listen to the waves. Okay, let's head in and look at Finch's farm. According to the live stream, we've been going for 1 hour 17 minutes. I'm not sure where I am on the number of settlements I've been working through. Oh, woof, woof. This one. I'm clicking on purpose this time. Because this is one that I really wanted to work. And you can see I did put in a fusion generator. And there go the turrets. I'm not sure what was over there. And I'm kind of deliberately keeping the camera closed and not showing where all I'm going to. I think this is the first one that I had maybe an elevator on to go up and down. I think I actually had 2 elevators. Yes, I did. I'm not sure why my screen just fuzzed. Maybe something was just killed over there. Okay, we are all the way up, and this was, for a while, the highest settlement I had built. And I put 2 mortars up here on top. And originally I had the shops lined up along the top of this concrete highway. Sitting far... Whoa! That's... Well, that was embarrassing. Just walk. Hey, take a long walk off a short bridge. Sure, I'll do that. Completely and totally embarrassing. Oh well, at least the autosaves are often enough that it's not a complete disaster in how far back restarting. Excuse me. Alright, and here we go, we're back. And this time I'll... Well, something over there went nuclear. Whoa, no. Okay, let's play it safe and take the elevators up. Floor 4. You ever get the feeling that you forgot to do something? Like, maybe add in the appropriate amount of elevator to get all the way up? Well, speaking of embarrassing, let's do this again then. I'm not sure. Alright, there's where the elevator... Am I just missing part of the elevator? Alright, structures, wood, metal, prefabs, walls, roofs, prefabs. Barn, scaffolding, car doors, fences, elevators. Requires 5 power. Alright, so the highest was a 4-floor elevator. And I built along the top of it instead of building down to it. Wow, that's embarrassing. Now, do I just go ahead and fix it? Or do I snooker Rayeta into taking that elevator? Alright, let's be very careful now. Because it looks like I left an open door here. Yeah, it looks like I left an open door there somehow. Let's be very careful now. Anyways, I originally had the pathing down and the stores out there. And it just never... Okay. Either something changed, and I'm not sure what changed, or I just never finished this. I'm honestly not sure which one it is. How much do I have to work with anyways? Oh, that's why. I'm at cap. I'm at maximum size, so in order to finish fixing this structure, I was going to have to start taking some things down and apart. So I was going to have to simplify this map in order to make everything fit. And I think that's why I kind of stopped working on it, because I wasn't sure on... I didn't want to entirely depend on elevators to get up and down. I mean, what I could do is just lift that elevator up. And then do maybe a structure up to it. lift that elevator up, put the other elevator down. Yeah, it's... I'm going to have to do some thinking about how in the world I can actually make this work as intended. Because I've just flat run out of room to build things in. Maybe simplify this and bring everything in closer. Maybe set the beds along here. I'm going to have to do something to free up some space or some items to fix this one. Until now, it is kind of a death trap. Alright, let's move on with our tour. And we'll hit County Crossing next. Help defend Sunshine Tidings Co-op. Alright, this is, again, where I really... Alright, where is Sunshine Tidings Co-op? There it is. Fast travel. And again, where I know you can't hear it. But if I can find them in time, you can see it. Kill cam. Alright, let's head back. We were at County Crossing. And here we go. Okay. We got some more water filtration going on into the swamp there. Really long set of beds. And lots of place to sit up top. And here's a bar. Everyone can stop and have a drink. The one error I did make here is this was not a double wide, so NPCs do tend to get caught up. There are obviously 2 exits from here, so that at least helps somewhat alleviate the problems with NPCs getting around. And in our shops all along up here, ostensibly by the road for anybody can pass through and get their faces blown off. What were they shooting at? Well, whatever it is, it's dead now. And again, this was where I just stopped worrying about trying to protect the generators, because NPCs weren't targeting them to begin with. Noisy, though. Alright, we have Mechanus layer cleared. Only one person who is actually here. Excuse me. taking a while to load this one. Alright. And this is one of the building locations that didn't make a lot of sense. That it is counted as a settlement. But there's only one person who's actually down here. Got the robots working here. Not sure what they're working on. Isabella Cruz. She's the only person here. This was one of the peskier fights that I went through in the game. Because my build was predicated on stealth and sniping and criticals. And when I went through here to do this mission, it's a straight up ambush slog fight. And not really conducive to finding a spot to hide in. And that was wood. Still is, I think. It's a fascinating map. This is one of the things where right now you could swap. You could bring a screenshot of this up, drop the UI, and just tell somebody this is Doom. And if you had, say, like this weapon out, they probably would have believed you. Kind of like, yeah, that's a Doom game, man. That's a Doom game you're playing. You're playing Doom there. The flashing red lights, the ambient atmosphere, the scientific-looking weapon. Yeah, you could have fooled a lot of people into believing that this was a Doom game. At least this section. I mean, I really do like the lab feel. It works very, very well. But why it's counted as a settlement and contributing to your settlement and linked to your settlements, I really don't know, unless that was the only way that a persistent revisitable location could be implemented. And as we go the other way, yeah, now I'm just showing off. Not even trying. Not using silenced weapons. Not even trying to be a ghost. Just, alright, bring it. What you got? I got better. Yeah, kind of the only reason the real reason I'm just going through this is, yeah, this could pass for a Doom game. Just this map here. I mean, say what you will about Bethesda's coding practices, and you can say an awful lot about how atrociously bad they are. but they do a very good job at environmental design. I mean, an astoundingly good job at environmental design. That was the elevator exit time. I'm going to get back to the top. And the opening. Picking up a couple of reds. And out top. And up we go. This isn't even one of the best maps that they did. I mean, it's astoundingly good. Alright. So that was the Mechanus layer. We'll do Bunker Hill next. Excuse me. Alright. Well, 1 second. Taking forever to load. Alright, Bunker Hill. Another really complicated one to build into because of the small buildable area. And this is another one where I really at some point should go back and fix it. In that there is no double pathway. It's only a single pathway. And I kind of got around this by trying to limit the amount of NPCs that went to any specific area for any specific item, simply because there wasn't a whole lot to work with, and it slammed right into the size with what I got. It functions well enough. Stores in here, seats in here. Excuse me. And kind of, I thought it was interesting, or at least worth note, the first time that I came through here. And that most games kind of leave toiletry facilities kind of just vague, but no, this one definitely had, you went to the toilet over the wall. The actual toilet sitting out over the wall, medieval style. Well, it was a nice, well, yeah, we'll go with nice. It's an interesting touch of realistic practicality, pragmatism. How do you solve a problem? And since the engines are loudly, the generators are loudly, I just set them back here, away from everything. And if I recall, that's not how I do it. There's how I do it. Yeah. Claiming. Window out. And this actually, I think, put us above. This is again another point where you just have something in game where you're gonna go, wow. It's like, what are you looking at there? What's over there? Why would you have the seat there? And then on a clear day, you kind of get like, oh, because that probably wasn't there when they put that seat there. Alright, we already did a Hangman's Alley, so we're almost finished with all of our northern settlements, and we'll head over to Nordhagen Beach. And we have a single water purifier. Unusual, normally I do multiple water purifiers to feed everyone else. And again, we only have a single because slammed everything straight into the cap. Alright, we got our turrets out front defending against any threats that way. And we got our crop scoring along there. And one of my favorite Yep, this is all built. A beach house. On the beach. Kind of soothing and relaxing. Again, we come back to my anti-gravity lift buildings. And this is obviously an older one in that I never did a double pathway up. And that my generators are fully enclosed and ensconced. My mortar guy has a really painful walk to work. And here we can see everyone kind of muddling around, but they do eventually kick in and go down the stairs single file. For some reason, not having as many issues over here. I think because all of these stores and everything are that way, there's only one character going the other direction. And the one place where characters could really mix up pathing, I do have a double wide going. So this seems to work fairly well. Alright, let's head further south. How many more we got? Just 4. Kind of want to save the castle for last, because that, to me, is the most annoying. Jamaica Plain. Here's me. Yeah, I'm yawning like crazy. I think I'm going to have to go get a monster. Actually, you know what? On the next load, I'll run and go get the monster to try and take as little time as possible. Alright, generators on a roof. This was another funky one to build in. Because of the short amount of space that you actually have to work with. It's a really short environment. Not a whole lot of space you really have. And everything pretty much had to fit confined in here. You can see again it's capped. So we have all our stores underneath. Double wide pattern paths up to the beds. A single path up to the bar. So there are some cloggings at night, but it seems to work well enough, because if you can limit the amount of places where you have multiple characters going different directions at once, it seems to work out. But there are plants literally strewn all the way around in the street. We have our stores here over by the roadside. And we got our turrets up there. What's protecting them? Oh, turret right over there. turret up there, turret up there. Not a whole lot of turrets on here. This is one where if I replaced those with a fusion reactor, I could probably put in a couple more turrets and get a little bit more defense. But when I check the numbers, we're still pushing 96 defense. Food 21, water 24, people 17. So we've got enough to feed everyone and bed everyone. And there are a few more turrets. You can see them there. So I'm not really sure that I need to take extra drastic measures to add more firepower to this particular settlement. Alright. Outside buildable area. And let's move on. See? And we'll head down to Merc Water Construction Site. And this is arguably one of my favorites. We're still capped on size, but we've got turrets pointing everywhere. We've got our generators off on a platform. But what I loved about this one is all of our salvagers are here working inside. I did not do double wides on this one because this was built before I realized double wides really help NPC navigation. But working around the limited land space to have to work with, to get everything packed in here, this really is one of my favorite all-in-one construction maps. And like, here's one of the problems where the settlers are walking that way, you're clogged up. I did do a double wide stair here while trying to provide more exits and entrances. Hence this funky 2 ways to get to these stairs and stairs over there. The pathing seems to work out for the most part. Okay, moving on. Warwick Homestead. I know I said I was going to run and go get a monster, but decided not to. And I've got a power armor sitting over here, and I'm not really sure why. I mean, it's a jetpack capable armor. Yeah, I have like a lot of fusion cores. Yeah, I'm not really sure why I left it there. This is one of the few places where I kind of left the beds in place inside the stable and secure big building. Am I hearing a pig? Ah, yes I am. Biggie, 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 biggie. Generator's nuzzled away in the corner here. This part really felt more Half-Life-ish or Fear-ish than a Fallout. Alright. And again, having a path up here, double pathways, double pathway. This way, and we have our stores, clothing, clinic, weapons, armor, general underneath, and then on top, our bar and our mortar. Yeah, you can get lit and set things on fire at the same time. No, I'm not sorry. I really like that joke. And I'm not really sure what I was thinking on why I have turrets covering this way, because I'm not really sure NPCs can actually path along this way very well. Whoa, hi! Mirelurk scan! Okay, answers that question. Uh, Good to know. That was Mirelurk territory. It's going like, why do I even have this out here? Oh, Mirelurks! Yeah, that was a really good reason to put those there. It's Mirelurk Queen, that's what I'm thinking of. Came across a Mirelurk Queen while I was fully loaded down and couldn't move very fast. Alright. So, that's definitely why I got the turrets pointing that way and that way. Just in case there's some pesky Mirelurks coming in from the water. Those are just tires in the sand. Alright, we're going to... I want to leave Spectacle Island for last, so we're going to go ahead and go to the castle. Ugh. Now, this is again where I kind of have to quantify and clarify how I was playing Fallout 4 when I was playing it. I was circling the land, looking for the various items that I need to make things that I needed. And because of that, I got to the castle before you get to the castle in the main storyline. So I had already cleared out the castle, fought the Mirelurk Queen here, had set it up as a settlement because I had already unlocked it, and then came where you got, and it didn't actually break anything in the storyline, thankfully, but it was kind of unnerving to, you now have a mission set to the place you've already unlocked. A little bit more playtesting, I think, would have maybe given the option to, if you've already unlocked the castle, you don't have to go do the mission to unlock it, because you could just have the option to go, what, the castle? I've already been there, I've already got a settlement there. At which point the Minutemen go, whoa, you are awesome. That would have better fit the expectations that the story gave. Anyways, as far as the settlement itself is concerned, there's not really a whole lot to say here. I mean, there's not a whole lot to build with. Plenty of food, plenty of water, plenty of power, plenty of beds. We have 2 more beds than there are people. We have a very high defense rating. So I'm not sure why the castle morale is going down. It's one of the few times when I did, because of lack of resources, put the beds inside. Now in that case, now because they were inside, I didn't have to worry about making pathing to them. And there's not really anything too creative one way or the other as far as build construction goes. The castle tunnels. And there's our weapons workbench. I think that was me trying to get something inside of here. What did I bring inside of here? I don't know. I ran power in here for something, though. That was me who ran power, right? Yeah, that's my power conduit. Why did I run it this far? What's in here? I don't know. I didn't have a reason for it. I'm not sure what the reason was. Oh, come to think of it, I see that a settlement has been removed. Because around here somewhere should be the brother. I think that's the airport over there. So I think that was the Brotherhood's base. And you can see Spectacle Island from here, so you may already be knowing what to expect when we get over there. I'm actually going to go check out that other thing first. General Atomics Factory, Harbor Master Hotel. I'm here at the Castle, Gwinnett Restaurant, South Andrews Station, University Point, Big John Salvage. Alright, Boston Airport Ruins and Boston Airport. I think that's where I want to go. And yeah, unassigned people at settlements will automatically scavenge for the resources you need to build things. No, no they don't. No, they never did. Alright, so I want to get around to the other side of this. Because maybe if... Yes! It's still here! If I go to settlements, this has been removed from the active list of settlements. But my construction is still here. Turrets, beds, even the workshop. You aren't allied to this settlement. Maybe that's because I finally declared war on the Brotherhood of Steel. No, here's one of my... No, that's a provisioner. No, that's one of my provisioners. It's like, I set that settlement up. Oh, yeah, I am going through the ruins of the Brotherhood of Steel's dirigible. Oh, that may mean there's Brotherhood of Steel hanging around out here. I may want to be a little bit more on... Ooh, hello. Can I take you? Can I scrap you? No. Drat. I was hoping I could get a couple of free generators that way. Okay, so apparently whatever choice I took, I decided to bring the Brotherhood of Steel down. I really don't remember it. But this is one of the other big problems that I had with Fallout 4, and that as I discussed in a previous live stream. The way that I was playing, scouring the countryside first, and I managed to avoid the major cities, Bunker Hill, the baseball stadium. I managed to avoid all of those, and I got to the railroad first. And the railroad members, Deacon's his name. Why do I remember that now? Deacon made a very big deal about how I was the catalyst. I was a big, big deal to the underground. I was a powerful general with the Minutemen. I could really help them. The underground really needed to play nicely with the general of the Minutemen. It was a big, big deal. But... And that was really I got the distinct impression that all of the colonies I had built, everything I had done, actually meant something. I was a force of my own in the game to be reckoned with, that the other factions had to take me seriously because I did have the power to just wipe them off the map. I had the army, I had the weapons, I had the mortars. I was already the unstoppable force that was already dominating the top side. But then, when you got to Brotherhood of Steel, you never had the option to say, hold up, guys. I've got like 6 mortars pointed at you right now. You do what I say, or your ship's coming down right now. You don't have the option to say, hey, guys, I'm wearing better power armor than you are. My settlements have better power armor than you have. My soldiers are better equipped than your soldiers. You do what I say, and I don't tell them to play hockey with your face. There's just, you never, the game very early on gives you the impression that what you do as the player, well, depending on how you play, because if you don't, if you follow the storyline and you don't bother specking out your settlements, you don't buff them up, you don't do the things you can do to make them more powerful, and you're just following the storyline and doing nothing else. Yeah, you can. You would be in a position where you're the weakling. You really kind of have to do what everyone else says, because they could all rub you out like a match in a heartbeat. And the game isn't prepared or equipped to deal with players being the ones who should be the ones directing events. The players should be the one I've got all these settlements. I've got so many people at one of them. I've got 20 settlements. I've got at least 24 people at any one on call right now. That means I've got, 20 times 20. 10 times 20 is 200. 20 times 20 is 400. I've got over 400 people that I can call right now to suit up, grab weapons, and come wreck your butt. I've got power armors, an entire fleet of them. You want to play funky with me? I will have my army get in those power armors, and we'll start digging. And we can dig faster than you can dig. We will catch up to you underground, and we will root you out. You don't have that option. You don't have the option to power play and make it clear to the other factions that you are the dominant one. They are going to do what you say. And if the Brotherhood of Steel protest, you blow them out of the sky. If to institute protest, you now unlock a series of tunnels that now lead directly to the Institute, and a new series of tunnels under the Institute, and you root them out. And the game didn't do that. It didn't ever give the option to completely wreck, to make the point that you were the dominant force, and that the other factions needed to be scared of you and what you could do. Alright. Now, eventually you do get to the point where you can romp down on the Brotherhood of Steel like I did. And the Brotherhood of Steel does give you ample reasons to want to just kick them in the... where you just want to send them to a proctologist for a head removal surgery. Alright. Last stop of the day. My favorite. And you already saw it in the distance, so I made the comment earlier that the one over the highway was had been the tallest settlement I had made. Okay, and by a strict measure of feet, it may still actually be the tallest, but it is nowhere by any means the most massive. Welcome to the island. This is Aurian Archive, and let's show this baby off. I'm not even thrilled. I still got more stuff I could build here. The bed quarters. Wide open spaces. Everybody gets... I know you didn't hear that, but I did. There are rocket launchers going off underneath me, and I know that has to be Mirelurks. And here go everyone else waking up and saying, "What was that noise?" Don't worry, it was just Mirelurks. Alright, so everyone has a seaside view, literally. They are safely ensconced high in the air. the only way you could reasonably attack here is if you're bringing a small army or parachuting down on top. And if you're parachuting down on top, good luck with that. And I think that was like the gather bell to bring everyone here. Alright. And again, we have the dual pathways. At this point, I was getting the point that I was separating the dual pathways instead of side by side. Seemed to help with NPC transitions. We've got a pathway that goes down and continues on down to the beach. And this one goes that way. And again, at this stage, I was still working. I hadn't gotten to the fusion generators yet. So I was doing those little puppies. And okay, I've got power 120, so that may give you an idea of how many generators I've got strewn around this place. And we've got 2 ways to go. We've got a nice lit path with lots and lots of benches. Primo makeout real estate. If you've got a sweet something, bring her to the island. You'll have a good time. Alright, and there's our way back, but we'll go back that way later. And yeah, that was a Mirelurk that they were shooting at. Coming down this way, yeah, it's only a single pathway. Because the workshop is down here. And again, I had the generators all out here. And they are heavily fortified with turrets. And then I had these going all the way out this way. I think there was a story reason you had to send power this way to power up the ship for something. I think, yeah, to get inside the ship. And this is one of those fascinating. There's actually a kind of hut of sorts over there. I think from someone who was just living off the ocean, catching fish. They might be slightly irradiated, but that's okay. Alright, let's move back. And head back up the hill. And yeah, I could go ahead and replace them with the fusion generator, get more power, and maybe free up some more space. But this way we have our stairs coming down. We'll head out to this facility over here first, this wrecked hulk of a shelf. And there's a settler and another trader. I'm not really sure why their bodies are still here and haven't decomposed away. I recall another story, something that there was something you had to do with those containers. And yeah, that's up there. Alright, we'll go back up. And we're onto the beach walkway, which is well defended against Mirelurks. And here was a different path. And the reason why this path was here. So I think I had crops down here, maybe? Not really sure. You see, you've got a lot of space to work with on the island. I'm not sure if I had crops down here or not, or if the crops are on the other side. I really don't need Mirelurk meat. But another way of making sure subjects could get back up. Oh, there's some of the crops. This way, and we had a crop field growing. Coming back in. And then this way we had even more generators, which are blocked off. So I could get to them, but NPCs would have problems. Another set of stairs down to the beach. Yeah, this is the beach resort of the post-apocalyptic nightmare dreams. And then up here we have our stores. And lights, everything's lighted, so even at middle of the night you could come and shop to your heart's content. And we have our dual pathways going down. Again, helping with NPC pathing. And I can hear the generators even though you cannot. I had more generators just packed in and around. There's a generator up there, for crying out loud. Yeah, generator. I have turrets facing out. More turrets. Turret here, turret there, turret going blast everywhere. And over here, the power armor station, the armor workbench, chemistry. And then coming down this way, we have the boathouse. And that was our way back up. Just coming on down, we had our boats here. We had our water purifiers over there. Our patio chair out front. Yeah, I could recruit more settlers. Alright, now let's walk back. Up the stairs we go. Generator. And here they come. Getting to work on time. Yeah, double pathways means it's easier for me to get up and down. And you can also walk on top of the moonlit path. And I'm kind of did this mostly for kicks. To have a, if you're the repair guy, you're going to make an effort to at least make sure you can get to everywhere to repair what needs to be repaired. But welcome to the island. And as I said, I think this is easily the most massive structure that I have made in the game. Easily the most complicated structure. And if you're doing scrapping or salvaging, you've got a great view of the ocean. All I need is an ocean view to think of your love and know it's true. All I need is an ocean view. Yeah, out of key for me, but whatever. Alright, so there it is. A grand tour of my Fallout 4 bases. Maybe in Fallout 5, I can make some more bases like this. Will I ever go back and actually fix the bases that I talked about before? Probably not. I mean, Fallout 4 did not do for me what it seemed to do on the surface. What the impression it gave me it was capable of. And that really ruined the enjoyment I had of the game. It's still very impressive, a technical achievement, the things you can do in the game, the updates that have been made, but a number of the updates, and I'm playing a fully patched game, I don't know how many years later, and some of the original problems still exist. I just caught them on the live stream. NPCs still having problems with pathing, and that's a pretty big issue. Colonies that are still, happiness is decreasing when there's no visible reason, when everyone has a bed, when everyone has resources, when everyone is oversupplied, and the happiness metric is going down. So yeah, Fallout 4 is still very much broken. It's broken on a code level. Alright, give me 1 second. Wrong headphone. Alright. I kind of want to end this stream both with an epic view and we're going to go back and see if we can get an epic view out of Grey Garden, I think. Yeah, Grey Garden. Go to the selected location. And that's where I will make my final speech. And I really have to bring up something completely... I try not to be overtly insulting when referring to development issues and development problems. Because even if you have the most messed up game ever, even if you have one of the most broken tool chains ever conceived, you can still create astounding, mind-blowing, absolutely jaw-dropping experiences. This one moment, when this first happened for me, a clear blue sky, draw distance as far as the engine and my graphics card could go. And I sat and I just looked out. And you look at all the detail and all the work that went into this. And even though you know there are technical problems on the back end, this is impressive. Even if you're playing a newer game, a game that has more polygons, a game that has more textures, a game that has more draw distance, a game that does everything better, the sheer artistry, the moment that the player can create. This is not a scene that is produced by the developers. Yeah, you could maybe get on the bridge up there. There's certain things you could do where you could get a scene like this, but where you're sitting in a tourist stop of your own making, this is Fallout 4. This is where where the role play, the player making the decision, the player being the driving force, the player being the dominant factor in the game, comes into focus. You did this. You made this. You're the one who created this view, this moment. And it's an epic experience. And the fact that this experience exists, nothing is taken away from it by knowing that the tools used to make this experience are broken. That Bethesda has some serious internal code issues. They don't document their code properly. They don't use I'm not going to be able to say that word. They designed their code in such a way that it's very difficult for a third-party developer to come in, look at that code, and do something with it. Let me use cooking as an example. If you are baking a brownie and you make changes to the off-the-box Ghirardelli brownie recipe, you might write those changes down, like you used cinnamon vodka instead of water. You used 2 eggs instead of 1 egg. You doubled the weight of the brownie mix with cake flour. And you doubled the weight of the other items in the mix, and you made a very light and fluffy brownie cake that way. And you document every single change that you make. That way, anyone else who comes along and they pick up a Ghirardelli box and they say that you've got cake batter out, and they see you've got eggs, they see you've got vodka out, they see you've got all these different items. They can look at the recipe and understand what you did and in what order you did it. But if you just leave a box of Ghirardelli brownie batter in the trash can, hand somebody a finished cake, and all they know is that at some point a Ghirardelli brownie mix was used in this, they're going to be left struggling to figure out exactly how you got from point A to point B, because they have no frame of reference, no way to tell how you got from point A to point B. Bringing this back around to coding, this is why documenting code and using automated tests are so important to developing code. It's not just testing code for yourself. It doesn't matter if you know that your code works and your code works great. You can have the best tree generation software ever. If something happens to you, you go on vacation, you get sick, you get hit by a bus. Something like that happens. Who's going to take over the code? Can they take over the code? Can they understand what you were doing? Well, if the answer is no, you've got a lot of work ahead of you to fix that very big mess that could happen. And another example of very realistic occurrences over the last year, in the middle of the COVID control hustle, people lost their jobs. Developers, bakers, truck drivers, they lost their jobs, and some of them won't be getting their jobs back. Now, for some people, truck drivers and bakers, they probably had to leave detailed information, about what they did, what routes they drove, why they drove those routes, what products they made, how they made those products, so that whoever comes next after them can pick up where they left off. But if you're a coder and you had to quit your job because you caught COVID and you were quarantined for 2 weeks, and there was a complication, and now you've lost your voice, you've lost part of your eyesight, you're debilitated, there are now medical problems that you cannot work around, and someone else now has to take over your job. Can they? Or are they going to have to write everything from scratch because they don't understand your code at all? And this is why good coding practices matter. This is why they really do make a difference for the healthy development and long-term support of a game. If Bethesda's internal code practices were better organized, if Bethesda was publishing their binary client to multiple operating systems on the same hardware, specifically if they were pushing both Windows and Linux clients on the same build infrastructure, the compilers alone would send them enough errors back to help them troubleshoot the code, make the code more efficient, and they would have to work more diligently to make sure that the code is readable and understandable, not just for their benefit, but because it'll make the code simpler to maintain when compiling it. They just can't write a bunch of code, run it through the compiler, and if the compiler throws back error, fix the specific errors, and then, okay, it compiles, it's still throwing errors, but it's working, that's good enough, continue on. No, that's bad. That's really, really bad. And that's what Bethesda has done in the past. They've just accepted errors and just moved on. And for the most part, gamers have kind of been accepting of the abysmal internal practices of Bethesda and other developers because nobody else kind of creates the games that they create. There's not another game that I know of that I can create a settlement on a hillside overlooking a river and create a tourist spot that I now have to defend against incoming mirelurks. It just doesn't happen. And one of the important reasons why I think this is important to address now is a statement made by a Sega developer working on Total Rome. There was a port to Linux planned of one of the Total Rome games, and the port was canceled because the developers and the publisher said because of Steam Proton, interest in Linux ports will go away and they won't have to do it anymore. No. No, 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 no. No, 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 no. That is bad coding practice. That is bad, 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 bad. Developers should be targeting Linux and Windows on the same hardware to make sure that their code is up to quality. It is the same thing as going to 2 different doctors for a second opinion. The doctors are going to have slightly different training, even if they have the same field. They're going to have slightly different experiences, and thus they are going to be able to give you a wider point of view over what's going on with your body. One doctor, despite running a battery of tests, may not have enough information or enough experience to adequately determine the correct path of treatment. Two doctors, a second opinion gives you, as a health patient, more options, more input, more data on how to proceed and what the best options for you are. And it's the same thing in coding. The more you treat your code base as a general code base, as something that cannot have black boxes, that cannot have obfuscated code, that cannot be a black box that you alone understand, that somebody else at some point will be maintaining who is not you, then making sure that your toolchain builds to Windows and Linux simultaneously saves you a lot of trouble in the long run. And to put a more finer point on it, what happens if Microsoft ditches the NT kernel completely and just starts using Linux kernels everywhere? Sure, you have the WoW64 Windows on Windows client, or the layer that's being used for abstraction on Win10 on ARM. You have those kind of layers, but they're kind of incomplete at best. They're still just a translation layer. They are not a native package. Planning on a certain development toolchain being there forever and always being there, always being available, is a quick path towards creating a product that nobody can maintain, that nobody can do anything with. Developers should not be focusing on Linux as a SKU, as a unit of development, as a separate port that requires its separate development resources. Developers and publishers need to be treating Linux, and for that matter, any other platform, be it Android Linux, be it Stadia Linux, be it Apple iOS, be it PlayStation 5, I think it's Unix or a Unix derivative now, be it the Linux and NT kernels on Xbox Series SX. And yes, I am stating, for the record, for a video I do intend to share to Phil Spencer, I am very confident that the Xbox Series SX does offer the Azure Linux system to developers as a platform to build on due to its superior memory handling and memory construction. All of the different platforms that can be targeted should not be treated as different SKUs. They should be treated as a targetable SKU. And a good example of this is Epic and the Unreal Engine. Unreal is not an engine that is ported separately as separate SKUs with separate licenses, with separate retail presence. It is a single engine that has different optimizations that are built around central complexes that then target the various optimizations to a specific platform that are separate from the engine itself. Meaning you can build a game that will target Nintendo Switch in Android phones, but will also be able to recompile and target PlayStation 5 on the same engine. That is a good approach to how code bases should be built, and that is one of the reasons why the Unreal Engine is such a dominant force in third-party engines. Because as far as I know, as far as I'm aware, I'm watching my kilobyte stream per second crater, and I'm not sure why. But anyways, the Unreal Engine, the Uni Engine, the other various third-party constructions out there, Valve Source, the Steamworks engines, because they are constructed to work across multiple operating systems, by default, to compile to multiple targets, by default, that is their natural mode of behavior, they are far more flexible and far more efficient and far more optimizable than engines that only target a single platform and do it very poorly. I believe that Sega and the Total War developers are completely wrong. Steam Deck will not cause developers to drop Linux port plans. What Steamworks will do is the Steamworks SDK and the availability of Steamworks running on desktop Linux systems or the Steam Deck running in hand will encourage developers to add Linux compilation as a default target to their compilers. It won't be, hey, has anyone built a Linux client lately? Did we get any errors? No errors, good. What do you mean you didn't actually build it? That shouldn't happen. And we're not probably going to see an overnight turn of major release games from EA and Activision and Take-Two suddenly producing native Windows and Linux binaries. That properly... Oh, Red Rocket Truck is under attack. That's what? This one? Yeah, let's head there. And we'll finish this out with a raucous red glare. What will probably happen is a massive market success of the Steam Deck. And a massive number of players accessing the Steam Deck. And I'm going to try not to yell over the rocket's red glare. Let's try to figure out where are the enemies coming from. Although they probably already defeated by now. Let's get some verticality. I hear firing. There we are. That way. Like at the wrong end of the base. Oh well. Here it is, defending. Okay. Developers who are actually interested in making a profit and simplifying their development process will probably be making a concerted effort to start targeting at least the version of Linux that's used in the Steam Deck as part of their compiler builds. Now, that being said, because the version of Linux used in the Steam Deck is fairly generic, fairly upstream neutral, fairly downstream neutral, using a consistent set of APIs and AVIs that are in wide usage across a wide range of Linuxes and a wide range of other platforms, not necessarily based on Linux. There will be more developers that will feel encouraged that they can target that platform with an optimized build. Not one that's relying on Proton to simply translate it, but an actual optimized build that takes advantage of the Steam Deck's mobile features. Yet, as to say, it is optimized on a processing level to account for a low core count, a low actual core count, and a low GPU count, and optimizes textures and loading properties in order to make the game run more smoothly. That is the more likely result of what will happen with the Steam Deck should it be a market success. Sega is totally wrong, I believe, on what they say will be the result of the Steam Deck, and canceling the Linux port was probably a good idea. Not because they're canceling a Linux port, but because it should have never been a port in the first place. It should have always been part of the default compile. On day zero, when Sega put that game on Steam, it should have been available on SteamOS and Steam Windows at exactly the same time, and every build should have cross-built to Windows and Linux simultaneously. And if the tools can't do that, the development chain is broken. And now we get back to Bethesda and Phil Spencer and the Xbox crew. What I really don't know is if internally, the Xbox, everyone who's under Xbox is now being forced to defaultly compile to both the NT kernel that's used in Windows or is being used in Windows 11 and the Azure Linux kernel that's being used in the Azure Cloud and I believe being used in the Xbox Series SX. If Microsoft is enforcing developers internally, all the studios that they own, to defaultly compile to both targets with every build, then the next series of games we see out of Bethesda, we see out of Obsidian, we see out of everyone that Microsoft has bought should start running far more smoother, have far less bugs, be far more